Aloha. It's your favorite friend with questionable character, Aloha Mr. Hand, with a Tuesday afternoon check-in brought to you by our friends at From the 108. And, of course, Jack Daniels. So I wanted to get on here and talk about a couple things real quick. First, Theo Epstein had resigned from the Cubs, effective November 20th, I believe the date is, which is basically the end of this week. So I think that this is a clear signal to Cub fans, and I am really relying on the words of K-Fids from the Pinwheels and Ivy podcast, because he's really in tune with all things Cubs, that winter is coming for the Cubs. And don't be surprised if you see a dramatically different roster for this team in 2021. There's also a lot of talk that Chris Bryant will not be a member of the Cubs come December 2nd, which is the day for tender non-tenders. I think Bryant would look good on the south side in right field, but that's just me. Let's keep it between us. The second thing I wanted to talk about was it's Baseball Hall of Fame voting time. So I took a look at the ballot for this year, and I decided to do what I do every year, sit down and think about what players on the ballot would I vote to be in the Hall of Fame. And out of the approximately 25 or so players, I have 5. And I'll be honest with you, all these guys who say they have 10 on their ballot every year, I don't get it. I really don't get it, because I look at some of the names of who these people vote for. I'm like, seriously? Hall of Very Good, not Hall of Fame. And I get that part of it is subjective to each person's individual preferences, the teams they root for and everything else. But some of it, you just look and go, how can you vote for that guy? Seriously, but whatever. So the players who I picked, I will start with the first 2 that I know people are going to question me on. I do vote for Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens. Now, you may ask, why don't I vote for Sammy Sosa or Mark McGwire, who's no longer on the ballot, or Manny Ramirez for that example? Let me tell you why. Roger Clemens had 3 Cy Young Awards, 86, 87, and 91, before he became a steroid user. Now, we can put his date for steroid usage right around 1997, when he went from Boston to Toronto. And for Barry Bonds, we put it at 1999 after the home run races Sosa and McGwire in 98. Those are the points I'm using between pre and post steroid use for these players. So just so you understand it. Clemens already had 3 Cy Young Awards. Like I said, 86, 87, and 91. He had 2 20 strikeout games. One in 1986 and one in 1996. And he generally was one of the best, if not the best pitcher in baseball during that time. He was the best pitcher, and then Maddox came along, and, he was the best pitcher in the AL. Maddox was the NL. I mean, towards the later part of that time in the 90s, Maddox definitely lapped him. But in the late 80s, it was no contest. Roger Clemens was the best pitcher in baseball. I know some people will say Dwight Gooden. Dwight Gooden was a blip. Roger Clemens was sustained. If you don't like that take, I don't care. It's true. So I think with Clemens, I think he was a Hall of Famer before there was a question about steroids. Now, there were a lot of rumors in 97 that he was interested in joining the White Sox. The White Sox, in their infinite wisdom, again, decided to go on the Kmart Blue Light Special Aisle and go get Jamie Navarro instead of Roger Clemens. You knew you were going to start rebuilding at some point, a.k.a. the White Flag trade at the end of July in 1997, and you had this young pitching, Soraka, Parquet, Baldwin, guys like that. Who would you rather have them learn from? Jamie Navarro, who was a terrible pitcher and a terrible person, in my opinion, or Roger Clemens, a 3-time Cy Young winner, who may be a terrible person too, but he's got 3 Cy Young, so you'll probably learn a little something more from him than from Jamie Navarro. And I'll also add, there was an incident between yours truly and Jamie Navarro in Detroit in 1998. Let's just say that yours truly had a little too much to drink the night before, about 30 beers worth. And there's also another catch to that story because yours truly went to Detroit to see the White Sox play. And this is where the incident happened with Jamie Navarro. And let's just say yours truly and friends ran into another White Sox player on Saturday night in the fine city of Windsor, Canada. That's all I'm going to say. Those of you who know exactly where this probably happened or what type of establishment this probably happened at. Not which one, but what type of establishment this probably happened with. I will tell you in person. I will not put it out here. So feel free to ask me in person and I will tell you, but I'm not putting it here. So I think, that goes to Roger Clemens and why I think he's a Hall of Famer. Barry Bonds, again, using the 1999 date as sort of the point between pre and post steroid use, was a 3-time MVP, Gold Glove winner, just a dominant force in baseball before 1999. And the reason he jumped in on the steroids, to be honest with you, is because he saw the press that McGwire and Sosa were getting in 98 for the home run derby and asked himself and said, hey, why are these two clowns getting all this press when I'm a much better player? He's absolutely right. Like him or not, he's right on that. So he decided to take it up a notch as well. But that is why I think I vote for Bonds and Clemens, because I think they were Hall of Fame players before the steroids got involved. Now you can say I'm being on the high horse and everything else because I don't vote for Sosa, I don't vote for Ramirez, I don't vote for McGwire because I don't think those guys were Hall of Famers before they started doing it. And frankly, my tone has changed a little bit with Bonds and Clemens because Bud Selig's in the Hall of Fame. He oversaw all this. So that's why I vote for them. Next pick I have to go with is Mark Buehrle. Now, I think Buehrle is a Hall of Famer. You're talking about a guy 200 innings every year, went to the post for the team, no hitter, a perfect game, 4 Gold Gloves, All-Star starts, World Series, a save in the World Series after starting the game before, and just he is one of those guys that if you just look at him and you say no, that's not a Hall of Fame. If you take a look at his numbers, he's right there. You could argue that he may be a little bit short, just from a purely number standpoint. To which I will argue, no hitter, perfect game. Last time I checked, there were only 7 pitchers, I believe it was, who accomplished this feat, and all of them, with the exception of Buehrle, were in the Hall of Fame. The only reason Buehrle wasn't because he was not eligible yet. So, and another thing, think of a couple left-handers who accomplished what he did as far as having a no-hitter and a perfect game. There's 2 names that immediately jump to mind. Sandy Koufax and Randy Johnson. Not bad company to be in. Am I saying he's one of those guys? No, I'm not saying that. But there's if you're in that company, there's a damn good reason why, and it needs to be considered. So I vote for Buehrle in the Hall of Fame. I don't think he'll get the votes needed to get in, but I could see him being one of those guys who is an accumulator. Each year he adds 5 or 10% more as more people start to look at his numbers and see what's there and look under the proverbial hood, so to speak. So that's my next pick. I got to go with Curt Schilling. Say what you want about his Twitter and his political views and everything else. I don't care about that. This is strictly about performance, the performance on the field. And you might say, well, what about the steroids guys? Again, it's about performance on the field. Did those guys with the steroids, were they Hall of Famers before they started taking it? Or did they need that to help them get there? Bonds and Clemens, I think were there before they did it. The others, not so much. And I say the others because Sammy Sosa, we clearly know by looking at his body type, the general time frame when this happened. Manny Ramirez, we don't. We can't sort of pinpoint this is when it started and everything else. And I think that's what hurts them. I should say I know that's what hurts them in my eyes. But my final pick is Omar Vizquel. If you're going to have Ozzie Smith in, who, by the way, Ozzie Smith, great guy. you need to have Omar Vizquel in because he's basically almost a clone of Ozzie Smith. Ozzie may have been a little flashier, but Omar was right there too. I want to say Omar had 9 Gold Gloves in his career. Part of the thing with Omar, why he may not be as widely known as Ozzie Smith is because on those Cleveland teams he was on, there was just so much firepower and so many players that he had overshadowed. Guys like Manny, Jim Thome, Lofton, Eddie Murray was there for a while. So he was sort of overshadowed by all these other guys where Ozzie Smith was one of the driving factors of the Cardinal teams that he was on for all those years. So that's why I go with Omar Vizquel. I know a lot of people like Billy Wagner. You know, Todd Helton, I think there's an argument that could be made for him, but I'll be honest with you, I hear some of these people talk about how every year they vote for 10 players on their ballot. I just don't see it. I really don't. 10 players? How do you get 10? I look at his ballot. No, 10? No. I mean, you can say Andrew Jones. Yeah, maybe. I think Andrew Jones faded out too quickly in his career. If he would have maintained a little bit longer, I think he's a shoo-in, but you know, the peak and then the valley was so long and prolonged that I think that's what hurt him. Jeff Kent, Andy Pettit, you know, I mean, I could keep going. I mean, there's some guys on here. Dan Herron, no. LaTroy Hawkins, no. Michael Kadire, please. Bobby Abreu, no. Tim Hudson, Torrey Hunter, Andrew Jones, Jeff Kent, Andy Pettit, Aramis Ramirez, no. Manny Ramirez, Scott Rowland, Gary Sheffield, Sammy Sosa, no. Nick Swisher, Bro fucking Hio, no. Shane Victorino, no. Billy Wagner, Barry Zito, no. So that's all I had for today. Hope everyone is doing well, staying safe, and hopefully we'll get out to the ballpark starting in April of next year. I need to get out and do something because I'm going stir crazy working from home. Thanks a lot, everybody. Talk to you later. Peace. Bam.